Yeah, the discussions that we've had with the realtors at this point, we are talking about the need for the communication much earlier in the process. We're also talking about the fact that the process is going to take longer than they're used to. And that we need to, once a contract is signed, they need to share that with us as quickly as possible. We need to get help them get the borrowers to the lender to go through that process early on. I did a presentation with one of my local lenders, and the lender talked to the realtors and said, we're looking at a timeline between when a contract is signed and the borrower can come in to apply for a loan to when we can say, yes, we're going to loan you money of 45 days.
Right.
And then another 3 weeks to close. So that message was, I think, a very good one to the realtors to understand we have a much broader timeline now that we have to comply with. So that's the main communication with the realtors, is that we need to share the information sooner, and it's going to take longer to get done.
So for the realtors who are joining us on this live town hall, we're happy to share that information with you to think about the fact that a longer time frame in your contracts and a longer runway for expectations, certainly at the beginning, is going to be very beneficial to your clients.
Yes.
I know some people have also talked about the process of back-to-back closings, which for many people is the reality of how they're able to afford to buy one home and sell another home. Or sell their home and buy another home, I guess would be the process. And Diane, do you want to talk about that and the conversations that you've had with realtors?
Well, I think that it is critically important that this stage be set early on. When a realtor is out, even working on beginning to list a property, and then walking that seller through the transaction and setting the expectations, they need to understand that after October 3rd, things change dramatically. And they need to make sure that that expectation and understanding is there. But also, we're finding that many of our states, many of the realtor associations, and even NAR is taking a look at whether real estate contracts need to be modified to make sure that there isn't increased exposure or liability for that buyer if in fact their loan gets delayed and they're not able to close on contract date. So once again, Bill talked about the recurring theme, it's collaboration, making sure that everyone in the transaction understands what the process is, whose responsibility it is, and that we all have to continue to communicate and make sure that that consumer isn't harmed. It's all about the consumer.
And I would add to that, I couldn't agree more, Diane. I would add to that, though, is that right now you should still be building some extra time into the contract.
Yes.
You should just flat out be building extra time in the contract, whether it's 15 to 30 days, build some time. And one of the things that I'm recommending is, as opposed to setting a 30-day escrow, put in a do not exceed 60-day escrow. You're going to see expanded rate locks. You're going to see transactions take a little bit longer. And the fact is you've got a whole lot of people who are going to be touching the file that they've never touched before. And we're all learning this together.
Right.
And so since we're all learning this together, transactions are simply going to take longer. Build time into it, because if you don't build time into it, you could have contracts expire, you could have rate locks expire, you could have all sorts of negative things which would have a detrimental impact upon your closing.
Right.
Make sure to put those into the contract. And it's those realtors who understand that and build those in are the ones that are going to set the expectation level with the consumer. The consumer then will close on time or even early. And if you put in a 30-day escrow and it takes 35 days, then it turns into a negative escrow. And if you put in 60 days or not to exceed 60 days and you close in 35, you're a hero.
Right.
So very vital to do that and modify the contract and really think about the contract and not just default back to the way that you've always done contracts into the past.